Good morning, Cowboy Jim. Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada. Nice day out there. Spring's coming. Bears will be coming out pretty soon. Make it interesting walking out to the truck, anyways. Kind of hope don't have a four-legged critter walking along beside me, looking at these old bones of mine, thinking, might be a few calories there. Not many. Anyways, I, 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 I'm pretty careful when I turn the news on in the morning, and I hit the mute button every time Justin Trudeau is being interviewed. I don't waste food, and if I've just occasion to eat, well, the odds are real good I'll lose it listening to that. I don't know what you'd call them. Anyways, I won't. And it's the same with Biden down in the States. But I look at the horror of what's going on in the Ukraine, and I think, what are the odds that that'll spread? And I wouldn't want to bet against it. I hope it doesn't happen. But I have listened to Putin and Xi Jinping, and I haven't listened to those Iranian people, Iran, because I understand too clearly what is going on with Biden and his attempt to make what Obama did in the stupid deal they made last time. Apparently, this conditions of this one are just as stupid, and Biden Democratic Party, they have a game plan, and it's not for your good. It's not for mine. They wouldn't even know who we are. But technically, I guess the people of the world are those who elect people who have their own agendas. They don't happen to mention about their agendas until they're in power, and you see what they do, what their game plan really is. And I was listening today, and they were saying on Fox News, I wonder what it would take to get Putin to back off. And I thought, you guys should listen to your own news broadcast. You know what it would take to get Putin to back off. It'd take a blessed miracle. And because Putin, he's as much of a dictator. He thinks he's God, and in his mind, he probably is. And that's what happens, it seems, when politicians get elected. They go into politics poor and come out wealthy. And Xi Jinping over there in China, he knows why they're wealthy, because he purchases them. He purchases politicians like we would look at picking up a new Dodge Cummins. Not a new one. Oh, dear Lord, they're too expensive. But an old one, 20 years plus. But the former AG in the States, his last name Barr, nice guy. I kind of like him. I kind of thought he didn't do much when he was defending Donald Trump. Well, he should have been defending Donald Trump, but his job was to uphold law and order, and I don't know that he was convinced that Trump was doing the right thing or not, but I believe Trump was in standing against the bullies, dictators in the world. But there we have Joe Biden and his new Green Deal, and most important concern in life right now with people laying in the streets dead in the Ukraine, as far as Biden is concerned, is global warming. And how can we convince people to spend 60 to 120 grand on an electric vehicle without telling them we probably won't have electricity for them? They said down in Texas somewhere the other day there were a lineup of cars waiting to get charged, and I thought you and the Democratic Party in the states, they say, listen, save the world, save the planet, save the ecosystem, run electric. Stupid, stupid people. Everything, it seems, that North America needs in order to manufacture vehicles comes from China. And China, they even own Disney, for crying out loud. Movies coming out of Disney, they have to meet the socially acceptable format that China puts in place for them. I look at the advertising on television for say makeup, and the commercials nowadays they have half Caucasian, half white actresses, pretty as all get out. Well, not my taste in ladies, but and the other half are Eurasian, Asian people, and Asian people don't even need blessed makeup. Skin color is so pretty, and usually, usually they're pretty downright pretty to begin with, and yet our medium of television has switched. We don't even control the movies that we're allowed to make, because China owns and has a very big interest in every facet of our economic world. And Biden, he's just playing along. And apparently, this is downright funny. Apparently, Soviet Russia, Putin's crew, it has nothing to do with the Russian people. They're good. For the most part, they're good. Ukrainian, real good. The peoples of the world, we're pretty much real good. It's the politicians. It's the overall game plan that they're trying to drag us through the mud of corruption. So Iran sits at the nuclear table trying to sort out a deal that will enable Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And Russia has to be at the negotiating table with Biden, Iran, because Iran hates the U.S. so much. Well, they call them the Great Satan, that Iran won't even talk to Joe Biden. There are people in the world who will not accept Joe Biden's phone calls, and I don't blame them. I mean, truly, I don't blame them. He is not Donald Trump, and he's just a figurehead, a pawn being directed by the Democratic Party. And they want you and I to be under their thumb, to be obedient to them, acquiescent. They want, the Democrats want a nuclear deal with Iran because Putin is directing, orchestrating that deal. Picture some flunky appointed by the U.S. government is sitting at a table with Iran, who hates the United States of America, calls them the Great Satan, hates Israel too. And Putin, his representatives, have been accorded in the deal to be the ones who will build the nuclear power plant for Iran. Iran has been trying to do that for a long time, one accord after another. And it doesn't mean anything. Neither does a deal with Putin. They were saying, oh, what would it take to get Putin to remove his armed forces from the Ukraine? Are you truly stupid? If Putin signed his name to anything, it would mean nothing. If Putin pulled his Russian army out of the Ukraine and took it back, he would never be able to declare that there was a victory. Lewinsky, he says he said, Putin, we don't ever need become a member of NATO. Not Joe Biden, the figurehead who is playing the world. We'll help. Oh, it's a shame there are so many people in the Ukraine. Yes, it is a shame. Well, particularly if you're the people lying on the streets bleeding, the children, the moms, the grandparents. But they don't mean anything to a liberal, a Democrat in the States. They don't. They don't mean anything to Putin either. Putin will never, I believe this is true, Putin will never acquiesce and pull his Russian forces out of the Ukraine. Because if he did, he'd get shot. I mean, according to the world, who doesn't know squat, Russia has failed miserably with their assault on the Ukraine. Well, they haven't. Those Russian soldiers, I think, who have invaded the Ukraine, they're doing a work to rule. They don't want to kill people. An average Russian doesn't necessarily need to kill someone else to make themselves feel good. The Ukrainian people are considered to be Russia's cousins. And they are. The Ukraine is a Russian breadbasket, and they are quite wealthy in oil and everything else. Otherwise, they wouldn't have hired a dummy like Hunter Biden to convey the money back to the Biden family for doing nothing. Putin wants a breadbasket that the Ukraine represents. That means he doesn't need the cities. He needs electricity and a few things like that, but he's already got the nuclear power plants. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. Because he has one hope, and that is to kill as many Ukrainian people as possible. Hopefully, he hopes the Russian soldiers will kill enough people. And if not, well, Putin will just bomb the hell out of them indiscriminately. I mean, indiscriminately. And Putin has asked Xi Jinping for help. Xi Jinping, he's going to give it. Xi Jinping is going to invade Taiwan. Has to. Has to. Because there is no resistance from the United States of America, because the United States of America does not have a leader, nor in Canada. They bought Biden. I believe they bought Trudeau as well. I'm not sure about Trudeau, but he sure, well, probably. Macron. And all of those countries that won't even accept Joe Biden's phone calls. I don't blame them. It's bad enough having to watch them. I mute them. I'm looking over at an old man in a blue jacket. He's in the Ukraine, and there's a body, white cloth, white sheet. It's a lot. There's a lot of red on it. Well, you should ask, what can I do? I'm a Canadian citizen, or down in the States. Oh, hey, shoot, open borders. Who knows who you'd be talking to down there? What can you do? You can pray. That's about all you can do. Pray that God will have his way. Pray that God has a plan that I've read in Scripture. And pray that not too many people, women, children, die. Well, I would like to say the God-forsaken politicians like Joe Biden, but I don't speak for God. He doesn't need an Irishman to speak for him. He talks pretty clearly himself. So what can you do? Well, you can be at peace with God by asking him to forgive you, accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Ask God to protect you. Ask God to protect the people in the Ukraine. Ask God to help it get over soon, because the pretenders in the world, they're more concerned about global warming. It's totally unbelievable. Baby children's bleeding on the streets in the Ukraine, in Kiev. I haven't heard from Olena Ganez in the news lately. It concerns me. Anyways, God bless. Don't you despair, because God has a plan, and it sure doesn't have anything to do with electric cars and global warming. One word from him and the environment could be restored in a moment. It will be, eventually. But not until Iran, Xi Jinping, Putin are done ravaging the world. When I was a kid, we used to say, what can you put your trust in, your faith in? The dollar? Not likely. Politicians? No. You can put your faith in God. Trust me. He knows you. He loves you. He has a plan. We're watching it unfold. It's not his fault. Evil runs rampant over people who have laid their lives down for freedom. That's what they're doing in the Ukraine. Thursday morning, I hope I pray the Ukrainian people, not too many of them get killed. I pray there be some Russian soldiers who will just turn their little tanks around and head north and take the risk of being killed by their own army. It's not called deserting. I don't think it is. It's called surviving. God bless. Pray, eh?